Marine Colonel demanded her call sign. When she answered, Phantom 7, he froze in shock. The sun was barely up over Camp Harlow, but the parade ground was already alive with shouting sergeants and clattering boots. Fresh recruits were lining up for weapons inspection, and in the middle of all the noise, one figure stood out, a woman in dusty fatigues, sleeves rolled up, quietly cleaning a rifle that wasn't even standard issue. "Hey, you," a gruff voice barked. The crowd parted as Colonel Mason strode forward, his uniform crisp, his stare sharp enough to cut steel. "Who authorized you to touch that sniper rig?" The woman didn't look up. "No one, sir," she said calmly, finishing the chamber check. "It was misaligned. I fixed it." The colonel frowned. "You fixed it?" He took a step closer, scanning her name tag. "Private Lynn. You're in engineering detail, not armory." Lynn gave a small nod, still composed. Around them, the Marines began to whisper. It wasn't every day someone spoke to Mason like that and lived to tell about it. "I asked for your assignment, not your hobbies," the colonel said. "And who gave you clearance for this weapon?" Lynn's eyes finally met his, steady, unreadable, but carrying a weight that made even Mason hesitate for half a second. "Clearance isn't the problem, sir. Accuracy is." The colonel's jaw tightened. "You think you know better than my gunnery sergeant?" "Yes, sir," she replied simply. The murmurs turned into low gasps. One recruit actually took a step back, as if expecting thunder to strike her down right there. Mason's voice dropped. "What unit were you with before this?" "Classified, sir." He laughed, short and sharp. "Everything's classified with you civilians turned contractors. I'm not asking for your file, private. I'm asking for your call sign." Lynn paused. For the first time, there was a flicker in her expression, something between reluctance and calculation. Around them, the wind picked up, carrying the faint hum of helicopter blades from the airfield. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Phantom 7, sir." The colonel froze. The name hit the ground like a grenade. Every nearby Marine turned. Those who'd served long enough recognized it instantly. Mason's eyes widened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "That's impossible," he muttered. "Phantom 7 was scrubbed from records." "You're telling me?" Lynn locked the rifle, handed it back, and met his gaze squarely. "You wanted my call sign, sir. You have it." For a long moment, neither spoke. The recruits looked from one to the other, sensing something huge but not understanding it. Then Mason straightened, face pale under the morning sun. "Everyone, dismissed," he ordered quietly. The Marines scattered, confused but obedient. Lynn stood there, silent, as Mason stared at her, the legend who wasn't supposed to exist, standing right in front of him with dirt on her boots and a steady, unblinking calm. And for the first time in years, the colonel looked afraid. The recruits had barely cleared the parade ground when Colonel Mason turned back to her. His voice, normally ironclad, had softened to something else, curiosity, and maybe a hint of disbelief. "Inside," he ordered quietly. They entered the command briefing room, dim, lined with faded mission maps and plaques. Mason closed the door behind them. For a few seconds, the only sound was the hum of the overhead fan. "I need you to explain," he said, not as a demand, but almost as a plea. "Phantom Division was dissolved after Operation Serpent's Gate. No survivors. I signed the damn report myself." Lynn didn't sit. Her eyes wandered over the wall, a row of old photos from past missions. One frame had a black cloth pinned across it, the faces of soldiers blurred out by age and secrecy. "Not everyone made it out, sir," she said softly. "But not everyone died either." Mason rubbed a hand over his jaw. "You were the one they called the ghost sniper, the one who took the shot through the tunnel wall at Bering Outpost. That was you." Lynn's silence was answer enough. He exhaled slowly. "We heard stories. One operator against 40 insurgents. The feed cut out before HQ could confirm. Then the files disappeared. We thought it was a myth." Lynn's eyes met his again, steady. "It wasn't a myth. Just classified. The mission didn't end that night, it changed names." Mason frowned. "Changed names. Ghost Division," she said simply. "Deep Recon, no record, no rank. Operatives erased from databases before deployment." The colonel leaned against the table, processing it all. "You mean you were still active after Serpent's Gate? For who?" She hesitated. "Joint Command, and sometimes, no one. We were the failsafe when diplomacy failed. The ones sent where even SEALs didn't go." He stared at her, speechless for a moment. Then his expression hardened again. "Why the hell are you here, Lynn?" A legend like you, buried under an engineering detail. Who sent you? Her reply was quiet, but it hit harder than any shout. No one sent me, sir. I volunteered. Volunteered for what? To watch, she said, placing the sniper rifle on the table. This base is under audit. Unauthorized operations, missing ordnance, falsified maintenance logs. Mason froze again, this time not from recognition, but from realization. She continued, command needed someone who could move unnoticed. Someone who wouldn't be questioned. She looked him squarely in the eye. That's why they brought back Phantom 7. For a long moment, the colonel didn't speak. Then he straightened, his voice barely audible. You're not here to serve, you're here to investigate. Lin nodded once. And I suggest, sir, you start being honest, because the people who sent me aren't far behind. The room fell silent, heavy with the weight of truth. And for the first time in years, Colonel Mason felt the cold edge of fear crawl down his spine.